Don't say anything if you don't want it recorded. Just letting you know ahead of time. All right, ladies. Thank you. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do, learn how to mix colors, but first we gotta remind ourselves how we're gonna color. We're gonna be shading. We're not just gonna come in here and go, this is red, so I'm just gonna color the whole section red, right? So let's start with red. Hopefully you have something drawn in for red. Yeah? All right, so for this section, if there is something you're like, I really wanted to keep it white, but I'm gonna show you how I do it. If you wanna do it slightly different, that's fine, but this is how I go about it to be the easiest way. So I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna color my entire section super, 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 super light red. See how far back I'm holding my pencil? That way I'm not putting too much pressure. If your pencil's really tiny, maybe later grab a smaller one, or a bigger one, sorry. So I'm just gonna put one layer, super light, so that I know the whole thing is filled in. Again, if you wanted to keep like this section's white, that's fine, just go around it. But you should be doing your small circles. These are kind of cheap color pencils. Not kind of, they are cheap color pencils, so they're not going to be the smoothest, but we don't need anything fancy. Try not to go outside of that section. So if red is mixing with the white of the background, do you remember what that's called? Yeah, say it louder. Tint. So it's a tint of red, so it looks a little pink, right? So we're only doing tints of the same color. All right. You can barely see it, right? Now you're gonna go back and decide where you wanna add some darker areas. So I'm gonna come in here, same thing, change my grip a little bit so I can go a little darker. Small circles, and I'm gonna start dark at this corner and start blending it out. So pick a spot where you wanna go darker. You trying it? Go ahead and start trying it. Because I want you guys to have some places really, really dark red, light red. It's gonna make things look way more interesting than just having it all just one value. If you weren't here when we did value, then this is a great example to get you a little bit caught up. Now I can come from this corner if I want. Still doing small circles. If it's looking scratchy, adjust your grip so you're not pressing so hard. And then I'm gonna come walk around and see how you're doing. If I want him to look tired, I can put some bags under his eyes. I just want to see some shading to make things a little more interesting. Here, I'll rotate it. That's a lot more interesting, right, than just coloring it all solid. If I want this colored solid, I can do that. Some stuff is totally fine. Okay, I'm gonna come see how you're doing. I know you're like, I know how to do this with Christina, but I just want to make sure. if you really hate these pencils, you can buy your own if you want some fancier ones. Just where's red? I know, that's why I said just start doing a little bit. You can always go back. Even if you have a pen, you're going to try it anyway, and you're just going to do the pen later, just for sake of practice. Poor 7th period. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so they're going to be on their own tomorrow. So if you're looking for me tomorrow, I won't be here. Heads up. Okay. Cute. All right, so I need to see gradients. I need to see different values. Okay. If you don't have anything drawn in that section, I want you to kind of practice somewhere else, like maybe on the side. Maybe draw a circle and shade it. Just for sake of practice, especially when we start mixing colors. Okay. All right, let's move on to another one. Is there a tertiary color everybody has? Let's look. I'm gonna assume most people have red violet. Do most people have red violet? What about red orange? Which one do you have? Blue green. Does everyone have something drawn in blue green? Yeah? Okay, let's do blue green. All right, so how do we make green? Blue and yellow. So the rule for mixing colors is you always start with your lightest color first. What's our lightest color? Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do for blue-green is we're gonna come in here and we are going to cover the whole thing with yellow. Very smoothly, change your grip so you're not choking your pencil like this. The mixing is gonna be harder, that's why we're practicing on just a color wheel, not a work of art you've worked 10 hours on. If you go outside the lines here, that's fine, because we can always cut it off if you really hate it. So circles, don't just go straight back and forth, especially if you haven't been here. I'm gonna leave his little teeth white because I can. And we're gonna be layering this. We're gonna go back and forth between yellow and blue to create blue-green. So it's not just a one go. So I haven't made anything darker or lighter yet. I'm just putting down a foundation. Oh, and I got a new car. I'll be safer now. So hopefully I won't miss class because I got in an accident again. Okay. Nice and yellow? Yeah? All right, now you're gonna be really careful with your blue because it's a darker blue. So I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna pick one spot just for sake of practice right now. I'm just gonna pick one spot. I'm gonna come in here and just add a little bit of blue, but I gotta be really careful or it can get really streaky really fast. And I'm gonna add some blue. Again, I'm not making anything dark or light yet. Right now, I'm just trying to make the value. If there's any spots that look like they're not picking up that color, you might have to press a little harder in that spot or go over it a couple more times. Okay. So now it's looking like green. But I'm still gonna go back and I'm gonna take a little more yellow. And I'm gonna put it on top. Now it's looking more like a yellow-green. But you see how that made it a little more vivid, a little more mixed? Now I can come back with more blue. Now this is where I'm going to start deciding where I want my darker areas. So I want his little arm nice and dark. And it's going to get lighter as I go out. And you can go back and forth as many times as you want with yellow and blue. And then I go back with my yellow. Eventually you will get to a point where the paper won't pick up any more value just because it's like almost like it's polished. It's shiny. But it should definitely look more blue than green. Again, if you don't have anything drawn in that area, practice on around the outside where it's nice and white. If you want to add something extra to your drawing without drawing it, go for it. Maybe I want to add a little heart on his cheek, right? All those little extra things are just you practicing. So when we start doing more coloring, this is where I want you to make all those experimentations. So if it turns out ugly, who cares? So it should look kind of turquoise color or teal. But it takes time, right? This will pay off when we start mixing paint, I promise. Remember we talked about making some areas dark, some light. So pick like maybe a corner, we're going to make it darker, and you're going to go blue, yellow, mixing your amounts. If you need to, sharpen your pencil so you can get right up to those edges. Don't be afraid to mess up. This is the place to do it. Perfect. You're so cute. Okay. Cool. Do we get the idea? You're going to apply this to every tertiary color, every secondary color. So if you wanted to make orange, you're just going to have an even amount of red and yellow so that it looks orange. If you go too red, it's going to look like red-orange. So just keep that in mind. Okay, that's all I'm showing you today. That's it. So I suggest practicing with just your primaries first, then go to your secondaries, then your tertiaries. If you need pens,